Have you ever stopped to think about how different the world of MMA, and even sports history, would be if Khabib Nurmagomedov had actually lost to Conor McGregor that night at UFC 229? It's one of the biggest what-ifs in fight history. Today at What If Factory, we're going to roll back the clock, flip the script, and imagine what would have happened if Conor, against all odds, managed to defeat the undefeated Khabib. It's not just about the belt or bragging rights. This one single event could have sent shockwaves through the entire fight world, changing careers, legacies, and even the future of the UFC itself. So, let's dive into this explosive alternate timeline. If Khabib had lost that night, the immediate reaction would have been absolute madness. Conor McGregor would have been hailed as the greatest combat sports icon of his generation, not just for his boxing crossover but for toppling the seemingly unstoppable Khabib. Vegas would have erupted into a frenzy of celebrations, Irish fans would have basically taken over the Strip, and headlines around the world would have declared it the greatest comeback story in MMA history. Conor would have regained his lightweight title and solidified his reputation as the king, not just of trash talk, but of actual fighting skill. Khabib, on the other hand, would have faced an earth-shattering moment. For a man whose entire career was built around being undefeated, a single loss would shake the foundation of his image. Critics would have rushed into question if he was ever truly as dominant as people thought. The chaotic brawl that happened after the fight might not even have occurred, or if it did, it would have looked very different, with emotions running wild in an entirely new way. Conor's victory speech would have been legendary, filled with swagger, emotion, and promises to reign supreme for years to come. Over the long term, the landscape of the UFC would look wildly different. Conor would have gone on to become an even bigger superstar, possibly defending his title a few more times or chasing a trilogy with Nate Diaz on even bigger terms. Endorsement deals, movie cameos, and global fame would have skyrocketed to levels not even he could have dreamed of. The UFC itself would have leaned even harder into the Conor McGregor show, making him the face of the sport for years. Pay-per-view records would have continued to shatter with each appearance he made. Meanwhile, Khabib would have had a major career crossroads. Instead of retiring undefeated and untouchable, he might have had to work his way back through the rankings, facing more grueling matchups to reclaim his spot. His aura of invincibility would have been cracked, and future opponents would approach him with a lot less fear. Fighters like Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje would have seen new openings to climb to the top. The lightweight division would have become an even wilder, more unpredictable battleground with no dominant force controlling it. Fans would forever debate whether Khabib was ever as good as his early record suggested, or if McGregor simply exposed him at the right time. Looking at the bigger picture, the global impact would be enormous. In Russia and Dagestan, where Khabib is a national hero, the reaction would be somber, and the rise of MMA in that region might have been slower without Khabib's perfect legacy inspiring a new generation. The UFC's international expansion strategy might have leaned even more toward Ireland and Europe, riding Conor's unstoppable momentum. New gyms would pop up, fueled by fans wanting to be the next Conor McGregor, and his brash, confident fighting style would inspire a whole wave of young athletes. On the darker side, the rivalry between fans could have gotten even uglier, with more intense nationalism and personal insults flying around on social media. Sponsorships, TV deals, even how fighters were promoted would have tilted toward charisma and spectacle rather than pure dominance and respect. Conor could have negotiated even crazier contracts with the UFC, possibly setting the standard for future fighters demanding bigger shares of the pie. The culture of MMA might have shifted to prioritize entertainers even more heavily over disciplined, quiet warriors like Khabib. So, if Khabib had lost to Conor that day, we would be living in a world where the UFC was even louder, flashier, and more unpredictable than it already is. Conor would likely sit atop a mountain of belts, records, and business empires, while Khabib might still be fighting to rebuild his legacy. But the question remains, would the sport have been better or worse for it? Would we have lost something important about what makes MMA so special? The quiet strength, the humility, the absolute dominance of a true champion? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Would you have loved to see Conor reign supreme, or are you glad Khabib stayed undefeated? If you enjoyed this mind-bending what if, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more crazy alternate realities from What If Factory. Until next time, keep wondering, keep dreaming, and keep asking, what if?